Hello and welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash catches Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. Donald Johnson, hello. Don McNuggies here to talk Captain America, Brave New
Brave
World,
New World.
fresh takes.
Fresh cakes?
Get your fresh takes here.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Season 3 is a little bit different. We just get into it. General thoughts. Donald, Captain America, Brand New World, Captain America 4, Legacy Captain America, Sam Wilson Captain America.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
let's see. I mean,
uh,
you want to go first? You want me to just go in there?
I could go first. This is okay. This is my general review.
Yes, too general. Don't go
This
too
is
deep.
this is like my one sentence review of it. It felt like a high budget made for TV movie and not a good one. That's it.
That's your general thoughts? Well,
That's my one sentence review of this movie. A high budget made for TV movie.
I might have came in with a different perspective watching the movie. I heard
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't very good, the reviews,
Yeah.
it's coming out terrible. So overall, I don't call it like a terrible movie. I
Yeah, I
think
would say.
the premise of the movie, I think, was
Mm-hmm.
wildly questionable at best to make it a Captain
Really?
America movie.
Oh yeah. I agree with
I
that.
was like, Captain America, are you sure this isn't a Hulk movie? What the hell happened?
I mean, it's a
um,
Incredible Hulk sequel that no one asked for, but we did ask for like maybe
years
10,
ago,
10, 15
maybe?
years ago.
I mean, that was my original premise. Now, was it
Mm-hmm.
as bad as I think the critics and reviews that initially said, like, this is a terrible movie? No, I kind of like the meaning behind it, that people can change. That's the dream.
Mm-hmm.
That has a powerful meaning, which I think I really enjoyed that meaning behind it. Now, all the CGI they put into it, little too much for
Yeah.
Captain America. That's kind of what I didn't like about it.
Mm-hmm.
The CGI went a little crazy, like you said. It was definitely a big production meant for like a TV. I feel you there. But overall, was it too terrible? I honestly don't think it was horrible.
I don't think it's a terrible movie. I know
Average.
people at work was asking me like what I think of the movie, was my rating and whatnot, and we'll get into ratings in a little bit. But it wasn't terrible, but I can't call it good.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it good. It's like, oh, definitely, this is definitely one I'll go
So
rewatch again and be super excited to rewatch.
it was it was a movie with like some really good moments, but like overall was hindered by like just a lot of awful editing. You could tell this movie was a lot of like remakes or a lot of reshoots. And like there was just so many scenes that just like it was just weirdly edited, weirdly cut. And then overall the writing itself was
Blah.
blah. Like
The long message, great. The writing to get there, I agree.
yeah, but it wasn't like overall like
Very
intentional.
predictable.
It felt
Very,
like a
very-
weaker version of Winter Soldier.
Yes. Yep.
Um I will say though, the one positive that I have of this movie is, and it felt like more like prequel Star Wars to me. I really loved the lore that this whole movie added, and I felt like this lore was very much needed and very much needed during this time. And the lore of like the world itself, the United States, like what is the political feeling right now in the MCU? And I thought it was just really interesting that this movie opens up and it's all about this celestial island. It's all about adamantium, which leads to X-Men. We have the kind of like the epilogue, the consequences from Eternals. So it's really cool to have those moments. And then even though it's a questionable Incredible Hulk sequel, it is really cool to get like Thaddeus Ross back and having
Yeah.
his character kind of have his moment to shine. Unfortunately, the actor who played him passed away. I feel like his character should have been there. Harrison Ford, I thought, did a decent job in the role. Um, I don't think he did an amazing job, but I thought he did a solid
Decent
job.
job.
Yeah,
I mean, Harrison Ford, what is he? He's like 80?
82.
Man.
82.
Oh,
Which
so yeah.
which I have questions about that. In the segment that we will do later on, it's one of
Okay.
those. But I really like the lore of this. What they were going for. I like the adamant
Adamantium bring in.
Yeah,
That was a
thank you.
great way to bring that in. I will say.
X-Men is that's a huge like lead on for it. I like the political, like every country's like just trying to dive in, and then you have Thaddeus Ross who's trying to work on the conflict. Like I really like the premise of this movie. I thought the premise itself
Yep.
was interesting. I think Captain America is an interesting choice as the hero for this story because like
Yeah.
maybe is this like a Hulk movie that got scrapped? Like that's what this feels like.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's a Hulk. I mean, that was my thought. Is like this is why wasn't this Hulk? Like this is Hulk
Well,
2.
the legal
Captain
rights,
America.
but it's really weird that it's like all these different characters, and like where's the Captain America characters that we had in like Falcon and Winter Soldier? There was a lot of references too in this movie that made it weird. They're like Thaddeus Ross, Thunderbolt. He's just like, oh, I miss my daughter. Oh, my daughter this. Oh, my daughter this, and she's like not even a character in this movie.
You see her at the end.
Like it's just she's there. She has a cameo periods, and it's just also. I guess spoilers. I always forget to do the whole spoiler
Oh
tag.
yeah, by the way, spoilers. You guys didn't know when we talk about movies. They happen.
Yeah. But I want to talk a little bit more. So, like, my general thoughts is one, Isaiah Bradley keeps getting the short end of the stick. Like, I feel like this character just gets beaten up. Like, all I don't know. I felt bad for the character. He's like, oh, he gets framed for murder. Now he's in prison again. I'm like, man, can you just like let this guy be happy?
Yeah, finally end his life. Like he's good.
Yeah.
His story's good. Like he got redeemed now twice. It's like, all right, let him just.
He also felt like just a weird add into this. It's like, oh, he's in prison again. I'm like, we already did this. Did we not do this story
Yeah,
again? Like,
just in this story.
And then we have Joaquin from Falcon and Winter Soldier. I didn't think he was a bad character, but he wasn't like a deep character. He was never given like a moment to like really get to know him. He was just kind of like that funny guy that wasn't really funny.
Yeah, I think they tried to make him funny a little too hard, and it just
Hmm.
didn't hit.
And there was like one line where they're like, "Oh, this guy never shuts up," and it's like, you guys are making fun that he's not like you're making fun of the fact that he's not funny, but like that's the issue.
Yeah, he wasn't like he didn't have any good witty lines to like
Hmm.
snap you into funny. He was just talking the whole time. Maybe that's what they're going for. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I was like, it kind of draws from your movie pretty hard.
Like I didn't mind the character. I'm like I didn't mind that he was in there. I did really like his relationship with Sam Wilson. I really like the parallels between him being Captain America and then you have Joaquin being Falcon. Like
I like
I like
I
the
do
idea.
I like the ending. Like you're talking about the whole idea of his character and like why he wanted to become a superhero, and then he looked at
Hmm.
someone like Sam. I thought that was great. Execution again. I
That's
don't know
a
what happened.
that's what this movie is. It's like really cool ideas with shit execution. Like I like the
Yeah,
story. It's Star Wars prequels. That's what it
that's
reminds me of. Great
that is where I'm
story.
torn because I think the story itself, the overall story is, I think it's actually pretty great.
Yeah.
I think the execution of the story is where it leaves me like, you could have just
And
did
like
that well.
and there's a
That
lot
would
of
have hit so hard.
there's a lot of shit that goes on, and so I kind of want to like recap the plot a little bit. So we get this attack on Sidewinder. He's part of Serpent Society, or I forget the Marvel version of like the Serpent. Yeah,
The
Serpent
Serpent.
Society. Yeah, sorry.
Because Hydra is
Invincible.
gone, right? It's the second Hydra. Yeah,
Kind of.
basically.
Basically, it's weird because like Invincible, which is a show that's coming out that's out right now, has Lizard League, which is essentially Serpent Society from Marvel. So it's this really my head's getting mixed of like what snake names or reptilian names these are. Anyway, Serpent Society, Sidewinder is like one of the main villains. That starts he steals adamantium, and I can't say it. Donald, say it for me.
Adamantium.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
just my brain's just not doing it. I don't know. So they steal the mineral that's not vibranium. They come back. The whole idea is like Thaddeus Ross. He's now the president. A lot of people are questioning the fact that he's president, and it's all about getting this treaty signed. But someone's doing something, or you have Joaquin, Sam, and Isaiah Bradley. For some reason, Isaiah Bradley's also part of this.
Yep.
Gets invited to the White House.
Somehow.
Somehow some weird things happen. Isaiah Bradley starts shooting the president. The president goes in a bunker. This whole treaty is like on the fritz now that there was an assassination attempt. And Sam's like, I'm gonna get the bottom of this. And they're like, no, you're not. And we find out that the whole person behind this is the leader who wants revenge on Thaddeus Ross. His revenge is to make him turn into the Red Hulk. So like his whole legacy is ruined, and this treaty falls apart, starting World War III over these minerals on Celestial Island. And that's like the base plot of this movie, which isn't really a bad plot. It's just the execution of this whole thing is kind of like, it's just shit. It's just not
Yeah, it
great.
was just horrible.
Like, it's just, there's a lot of things that's like thrown in there. There's a lot of things that like don't make sense. There's a lot of times where like, and I'm going back and forth with like there's just so much that's just like,
Let me just say there's also a lot going on here. So they're referencing so many movies all at once too. So they're
Incredible
not like
Hulk,
focusing
Captain America, Falcon Winter
Captain
Soldier,
America, Falcon Winter Soldier,
Civil
Black
War,
Widow.
Black Widow. Yeah.
Yep.
We get a former
All
Black
at the same
Widow character, like, oh yeah, she's part of the Red Room, and you're like, okay, cool, I guess.
It was like a
Bucky
lot. They're
shows
kind of-
up for like
Bucky
a
shows up
scene.
as a congressman. And you're like, okay. A scene. The whole movie in Captain America, he gets one congressman scene talking to Sam. Are you fucking kidding me? After we just had Falcon and Winter Soldier, where they built this incredible bond, he
Mhm.
shows up once. And you're like,
And that's
well,
like
where's your budget on that?
that's like the greatest scene for like character interaction too. I'm like, oh, that's like the best like character interaction scene in the
Oh
whole
my
movie.
gosh. That's the only reason why Falcon and Winter Soldier did so. I don't know, say they did well,
Yeah.
but they did so good because their chemistry. And
Mhm.
they basically took this movie and they're like, we don't need that chemistry. And you're like, their chemistry's so good. Why would you take that out?
He's in Thunderbolts. It's perfectly fine. But yeah, it's one of those movies, just really good idea. Just the execution's just odd. And like some of the introduction, like there's a whole mystery thing, right? Like who's behind the attacks? Who's this? But like
We all like, no.
it's like it was the
Immediately?
leader. And it wasn't like it wasn't like Winter Soldier where like we already knew Hydra came back, but it was like how did they come back? And the way they came back was exciting, it was thrilling. It was like, ooh, this like changes everything. It's like, oh, it's the leader, and he's just like, Thaddeus Ross, you remember me? And that's like, he's just like this
Most
menacing
basic.
character. Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, there's potential here, but I really like, I don't mind this character, but I'm like, the introduction, like the lack of mystery, the overall just like,
Oh, it was so predictable. It was so predictable. Like, that's what also drove me a little bit nuts. Like, you didn't make anybody question anything who this was. It was like, oh, obviously.
it was
And
just
you're
like,
who's the Red Hulk gonna be? Well, that was obvious immediately.
it's like, oh, there's going to be the leader, there's going to be Sidewinder, there's going to be Red Hulk, and that's it. That's a surprise. Or there is no surprises other than, hey, look, Bucky's here for one scene.
Yep. Yeah, Bucky's here for a scene, and we also introduced Adamantium.
Ah,
Oh, thanks!
X-Men.
Jesus Christ!
X-Men, guys. X-Men's coming. Slowly but surely.
Not just the X-Men, though. The Adamantium does kind of prove a certain point where they said they weren't going to redo the Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They
gotta broke that.
they're probably doing the. I will say too. I will say Anthony Mackie's probably one of the more solid actors here. I actually really liked his performance. I had no
Yes, I
complaints
love
from
Anthony
it.
Mackie.
I think I'm like he was solid. I'm like I don't know if I would say he did amazing in the role, but I think for like actor performances, I'm like 4 minus. I'm not
I think he
complaining
did
about
really
him.
well.
What do you think about the action scene? Like right away, going against Sidewinder.
I actually didn't mind that action scene where they went to go do all that stuff. A little too much. Again, I think when they went the CGI and the shield work a little bit too far in.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
overall,
really I enjoyed his action scenes. I enjoyed
Yeah.
seeing the mixture of his Falcon suit with like the Black
Captain
Panther
America.
kinetic on top
Yep.
of the Captain America, and I really like it. But I had a lot of questions on like, how does his power, like, he doesn't have powers. He's not a super soldier. But there's so many times where I'm just like, how did he make that catch? How did he make that landing? How is he pushing him so far away? Like he's just a regular human in a
Training,
suit.
baby. Training.
Dude, the dude that's like supersonic to the ground and just like lands perfectly
Well, that's the
fine.
suit. Well, let's remember from Black Panther, that's the suit. So actually, that all made sense. The suit.
Super.
Yeah, remember the suit takes all the. That's why the ending scene of the Hulk, when you see the purpleness come in, you're like, well, obviously I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He's going to take all the punches and then just smack Hulk with one punch. I didn't expect him to stab him, I guess, but that's another thing we'll get to in a minute. He could have flapped him with the wing. He would have been boom. But anyway, yeah, the suit makes sense to do that. I was wondering how they were going to do Captain America with no powers. But I like the idea of the Wakandas jumping in and basically giving them the Black Panther suit. Works the same exact way. He's
at least with the kinetic distribution, which is like huge. That's how he obviously fought Red Hulk at the end. That's the only way that it really would work. I do have questions because there's so many times I'm like, use the kinetic suit. Like he's punching you. You could use it now. You can use it now. Oh, you're gonna use it when you have one ring left.
Punch. That's what I was thinking. Like you could have just easily walloped him and just as fast as he was walloping you. What the hell is this? The fight was kind of weak at the end, but we'll get to that. I think the original fight scenes where he's fighting the mobs, I guess you would call them, I think were great. All of those were.
Agree.
I think those were really good, and Anthony Mackie or whoever they did for the stuntman pulled those off really well.
I would agree. There was. Can we talk about the beginning scene, like the very opening where they're like introducing Thaddeus Ross, and I really hated the music. I don't know why, because it was just very intense, like anxiety, like dun 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 dun, and then Thaddeus Ross is introduced, and I'm just like, I don't feel good watching this right now. I feel like something bad's about to happen. That's not how I should feel immediately.
I think you're in your head a little bit there, a little too long.
No,
my God.
But like, okay, so music is like how you feel about the movie, right? Like it gets you to feel a certain way, and like the music initially was just very anxiety driven, which I don't mind that being the case if it was used purposefully, but I don't feel like there was any purpose to it, and like the intro scene was all about to.
See, I think we have opposite views on this because I think it was used purposely because that's how you knew immediately, like, oh yeah, there you go, that's the Red Hulk, boom. Like, damn it, they gave it away in like the first freaking scene. Like, God damn it.
Okay, I mean, maybe it was like purposely, but I don't think the execution was great. I don't know. I didn't really care for the first scene.
Yeah, the first scene, I think the introduction of the president and stuff, and then like this is Thaddeus Ross could have been better. There's a lot of things that could have been better, I guess.
How do you feel about Harrison Ford like taking over?
I don't know. They have Harrison Ford in a lot of stuff recently, and a lot of people do. I think they're worried about his health. I don't think it was the right decision. I'll be honest.
I don't either, because I'm like, what do you do with this character now? Like, is this his character kind of retiring? Because I don't see Harrison Ford coming back in this role. And Thaddeus Ross is a bigger character. I don't think he's needed at this point. He was, I would say, sparingly used, but probably the biggest Incredible Hulk and obviously Civil War. It just thought it was an interesting choice. And as we were saying, it does feel like this movie was an Incredible Hulk film before it was a Captain America film.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was.
Some other scenes that I just like, there's a lot of things that just like, it was just weirded out by. When they go to like Echo One base and they didn't bring their suits, I was kind of like, what the fuck are you doing? You're going to a random site and you're not going to bring the suits that give you your powers.
Blew my mind. Like, you're going to go to this secret secure facility where you know someone dangerous is going to be at. Like,
you don't even bring guns.
Well, the worst part of it was, Jake, they did bring their suits. They just didn't put it on. Because they show him packing the bag and him grabbing his suit. And they go down there and they're like, I don't need the suit to get in here. Like, what? You had 28 seconds. You could have zipped up there, easily got in. No one would have known. That it was a questionable call. Let's just call it that. With armed guards and everything, and you didn't have your suit on. You didn't have.
Yeah, it was just like,
all right.
What are you doing? Like, I don't. He brought the shield, but I'm like, you bring the suit too. That's like part of your superpower.
Yep, that's your new Captain America superpower. Is technically your suit.
It's like Tony Stark, like, you know what? I don't need to be Iron Man here. Black Panther, I don't need. Well, Black Panther is questionable. He doesn't necessarily. He has like the serum,
He has
or
the suit.
He has the black
Yeah.
or the purple heart stuff that gives him his powers. But like,
Yeah,
it's essentially Iron Man being like, oh, I don't need my suit for this. It's like, no, you should probably bring your suit if you're expecting heavy-ish action, or at least some type of action.
I mean, the worst part was they showed the scene before they got in the car, before they're getting there, with them packing their suit. Like, I just like
reshoots, baby. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it was a little choppy in the story. And another thing that you bring up, like weird scenes, just to talk about weird scenes. I feel like we're trashing this movie quite a bit, but honestly, I don't think it was too terrible because I think it meant. But the scene where Sam Stearns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Called
Samuel Stearns.
Samuel Stearns, yeah, Samuel Stearns.
The leader.
And then where he goes to the one base to go kill that guy. The way he kills him, like this is the weirdest drop put scene.
Yeah, he's just like,
for
I can't
major-ish death.
I can't let you know.
To move the plot forward. Yeah, it's like you couldn't have thought of something else.
Doesn't he like turn himself in and tell him anyway? Like the next scene?
Yeah.
You can't tell Captain America this because I'm going to tell him this.
Exactly. I was like, what the fuck was the point of the death scene?
There's so many scenes that were just like, it was so weird. Like Sidewinder was in prison. He shows up and he's like, hey, Sidewinder, what is going on with this, and this? He's like, all right, I'm going to tell you this, and this. And like, okay, cool. And then boom, they're in the finale. It's like, what? Wait, what? Like that.
How'd you get him out of there? I thought you're somewhat of a fugitive at the moment. What's happening?
Yeah.
Are you a fugitive, kind of, or not really a fugitive? Are you welcomed or you're not welcomed? I'm confused here.
There's just so many things that like I just question. And like I remember the like finale scene too, where Sam gets hit with all the rubble, and like the first people that like lift him up aren't like evac. They're not like medical personnel. It's the high-ranking officials, like. And it's like the group of them like lifting him up. It's like, wait, why are you the first people like helping up here? Like that feels weird. You were just in like the government building way over there. Why are you running in the action to save Captain America and not like everyone else that would be in the vicinity here?
I think this movie could have been really great if they had someone watch the movie, be like, your story's incredible.
I think
your execution story just needs to be redone.
I think that's what happened, which is why it's like shit even more, because I'm pretty sure somebody was like, ooh, this is horrible. We need to do a lot of reshoots. And they just couldn't get it together.
Like, makes me think, like, so I think, like, everybody's like, I think Kevin Feige's getting too high on himself. Just my personal opinion. He's too high on how well he thinks he could put a story together. And he has these great ideas of this great long-term story, but when it comes to the individual films, they just don't execute it.
Well, my question is
either
like,
Kevin Feige doesn't help him execute it, or Kevin Feige needs to go.
Well, like, the guy who directed this was Julius Onah, and I don't want to diss him too much. The only thing I really knew him from is Cloverfield Paradox, which isn't a terrible movie, but it's not a great movie. And I'm just like, how is this guy the right guy for this job? Because this movie is like a directing mess. Like, it's a fucking mess. It's shit, right? Like, the writing is shit. Like the three guys that I looked up, one of them was on Falcon and Winter Soldier. One did Treasure Planet like 20 years ago, has nothing else in the last 20 years between the two films, but has Treasure Planet, and it comes back 20 years later to write this film. There's like another person that I don't really recognize them. I don't really recognize the work. So I'm just like, who's doing this movie? Because this movie, this movie's trash. Like this, it's not well written. It's very lazy. And there's just a lot of scenes. Like I remember Sam Wilson and like Thaddeus Ross, they were talking in the bunker, and they were just like, they're buddy buddy. They're like had a really good connection. Hey, you're gonna be the Avengers, and then like in one line, they disagreed, and then they started shouting at each other, and then Captain America's like barred from the investigation. I'm like,
Yeah,
what
like
the
that
fuck
was
just
it.
happened?
We're gonna work together. No, we're not.
It's like
Like
he
I
has
thought they
anger
were going
issues.
somewhere.
Like what? You
You
just
can't trust him. You're Captain America. Like like they kind of took him out of his character for Sam's character, who usually is very methodical.
hmm
Like if you look through all the movies, she's very much so like the Captain America
Yeah,
that didn't have powers. And they kind of brought him in this movie, and this is kind of what I was a little upset about it. Is they brought him in this movie to be more hot-headed.
a little bit. Yeah,
You're like, yeah, but he's never been that.
he's like Steve Rogers, but he's not Steve Rogers.
He's always thought about stuff like that's why he didn't take the mantle because he didn't have the superpower. He had to think about finally taking
He
that
didn't
on.
want to take the
And now
serum.
now he's got his buddy and all that stuff that they bring in weirdly, oddly,
Mhm.
and they're all like, nope, now I can't think things through or think of a good way to present my case or anything like that. They're like, he wouldn't. Doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
There's just a lot of things that's just like it doesn't make sense, and I'm like, there's like scenes that I'm like, why did you put the scene? Like there's like the lady who went to go check on Isaiah Bradley. She like shows up, hey, I'm gonna go see this guy. All right, he's down the hall. You can go here and here. It's like, why is that added in? Type of thing. Like
Yep.
there was like a 2-minute scene, and there's a few of these scenes where I'm like, I don't really like. I know who this character is. I don't need to see the scene of her entering the prison. Just show me with her in the prison talking to this guy. Like, show me the important stuff. I don't need to see the transition of how they got there.
Yeah, it was interestingly.
The random
Yeah.
red room lady who's not a Black Widow is kind of a Black Widow, but like didn't really do much other than like the shock. But I will say the hallway scene wasn't bad. Like I'm like, oh, a hallway scene. Marvel's famous for this. I'm like, okay, it wasn't bad. But when you have wannabe Black Widow, we have wannabe Falcon and wannabe Captain America all in the hallway fights. And I hate calling them wannabe because Anthony Mackie's great. I don't mind the Falcon, but once you throw in like a third Black Widow in there,
Yes.
it's like,
Yeah,
okay, guys.
When you throw in like 3 B Team Avengers people, and you're like B, or even BC,
Dude,
EDC.
we're in BCC at this point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Some of their movie references, like if they were going to continue the references, at least make them bigger references where they finally did bring Bucky in, but you bring him in for like, Bucky, done. Okay. There's your opportunity to make it big. And you're like, Bucky's going to help you out. No, not even that. You're like,
All right.
oh, okay. The world's going to go to war, but Bucky's like, I've got to get my votes. Okay. Jesus Christ.
I'm here for a speech that I wrote.
I
and I'm gonna
have
say
the
it to my
most
friend.
knowledge about having my mind controlled. Don't bring him in then either. That's fine. They finally do. I have a friend, and then he comes in for the weirdest fucking scene, and I'm like, "That's
Okay.
when you bring him in."
I'm gonna start the segment. I got some questions.
All right, let's go for it.
Where like the first one is, where the fuck is Bucky in most of this? I think we're already answering that question. Like, where the fuck
Yeah.
is he? Like, why is he
What
do? Yeah,
in the
like
shit?
my
Did you
other
not
one is,
afford him?
my other one is like, where's Steve Rogers? Why hasn't he not been addressed?
Old man Steve? Yeah.
Yeah, like just
He's
I
not
don't
dead.
I don't need him. And they're like, oh, I know they joked like, oh, he's in space, or he's like they joked about it, but I'm like, this is the movie where he should have had some story. There should have been some. Not
Old
a
man
plot
Steve comes back, to help Sam out. Give him some advice of
point. Yeah,
why he gave him the shield or some shit. Would have been
he should have been the
amazing.
cameo appearance,
Mm-hmm. Not
or like,
Bucky.
or just like,
Bucky should have been a main.
or just like a funeral scene, like Peggy Carter, or just something, or just some mention of like, where's Steve now? Oh, he's probably in another universe, or he's with Peggy in a different universe, enjoying their last little bit of life, like something like that. Like, just give us some
Yeah.
resolution, but they don't address it at all. And I'm like, where's Steve Rogers? Another one that two other where questions. Where's Baron Zemo? Where's the Wakandans? Why aren't they like finishing? Why are they in this movie after Falcon and Winter Soldier? Because Baron Zemo is
at all.
like Baron Zemo would have been like the villain of a Captain America movie. Like,
That's what I said. This is a Hulk movie that they're like, Captain America? Question mark.
here's one point
Sure.
we didn't. Here's one point we didn't talk about. The idea of reassembling the Avengers. Do you think there was a point to that, or are they just saying shit to say shit?
I think there's a point. I mean, hope there's a point to it.
Mm.
Right? But they might be saying shit just to say shit. And my thought is there is a point to that, to re-put these Avengers together and bring them back to protect Earth. But because the fight's never over kind of idea,
yeah,
this team needs to always be at the ready.
I was just like, okay, there's a whole Avengers part. I'm like, but that's not going to be a part of this movie. So why is this even in here? Why is this even brought up? Especially like since Thaddeus Ross is so quick to dismiss him. Like, this is so weird. It's such a weird like change. And like, not even in the story, there's nothing, like, no reason for this to be a thing other than, oh, Thaddeus Ross is a hothead. I'm like, well, okay, but like even then it wasn't done well. It was just kind of thrown in there like, ooh, Avengers. And then at the end it's like, there is other worlds coming. It's like, oh, he's going to be back, but it's not back on the Avengers. It's Captain America will be back. It's like, okay, I guess they're going to redo the Avengers, I guess, with Falcon. I guess. I don't know.
As the leader? Question mark?
Maybe.
Not really. I just don't see Falcon to be, or Sam Wilson being the guy to put together the Avengers.
No, I
Doctor Strange is for.
I could see it in this character. This movie didn't build him up to be that team leader. It's not like he assembled his own Avengers like Bucky's going to in Thunderbolts. I have thoughts on that, by the way.
Oh, let's continue because yeah, I got that. I got to see it like 4 weeks early.
Yeah. I'm fucking jealous. Like,
tight.
Bring
like,
me,
sweet.
son of a bitch. All right. Anyway, another question is why wasn't this just a Captain America film? Like, to the T.
It's a very interesting choice. Like, in a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why, bring the original Hulk movie back into this at all? It's like, why did you decide to do this? Like, to get the leader in, it makes sense to bring the leader in, okay? But you couldn't have thought of a better way to do that than this?
Or like, these characters just, what do they got to do with the future? The leader, like, what is he going to do in the future? Like, I don't mind seeing this character again, but nothing that he did in this movie or Incredible Hulk really made me want to see more of him. Like, I thought, I look at him like, I see potential, but this movie wasted it. Thaddeus Ross, Red Hulk. I'm like, I see potential, but it felt kind of,
we wasted it. Yep.
It felt underwhelming, and it just, I don't get it. And then you have like Sidewinder randomly showing up. We have Gina Carano as the guy from Breaking Bad. I can never get his name. I thought he was great as like the character. I thought he was an interesting villain, but he also felt wasted and kind of just thrown in there.
It defeated so quick. It's like, okay. Yep, all right.
I did like the line of like, what are you without your suits? And he's just like, I'm meaner. Like, I like that side of it because Anthony Mackie's always just like that Sam Wilson. When he's fighting as Captain America, he's like, okay, like, I beat this guy up, but like, be gentle on him. I broke his arm. I like that, like, him being kind, and then that line of like, I'm meaner without the suit, because like he kind of has to be meaner.
Has to be, yep.
Because like in order to survive, he has to like do some like not killing blows, but very damaging blows, so he wouldn't continue to fight. Whereas Captain America, you can just knock him out, more or less. Like, it's less of a threat. So I don't know. It's an interesting movie. Let's get into ratings. I have a feeling we're very close on our ratings. I don't think we're too far off.
Can't be too far off.
Where do you got?
Can't be too far off.
Mm-hmm.
2. I give it a 2.
I'm debating on a 2 or 2+. I put 2+ because I'm like, it's a meh movie with a lot of flaws, but I did enjoy bits and pieces of this movie.
Yeah, there's some bits and pieces I did enjoy. It's where I could see somebody go 2+, and there's a lot of connections in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wish the connections were just a little bit stronger and more like built, but I gave it 2 just for, the sheer writing of how it played out. The execution of it all is why I gave it 2.
Yeah.
As far as the overall premise of the story, like I said, the overall premise about change and people can change and the world can come together. We work at it. I think that's huge and that's great.
Mm-hmm. The political landscape, the war.
The
It's
execution of that political landscape and how they showed it.
Yeah.
Fucking worse.
Star
The
Wars,
worst they could
Star
have done.
Wars prequels. It's just
Yep.
it's not good. It's not terrible. There's some really good parts that you'll like for the lore, but yeah. Oh, I want to add one little bit too. What do you think about the suit change just randomly happening in the movie without it ever being addressed? Like he went from like the white his classic white legacy Captain America suit to like the more Winter Soldier classic suit. And it just randomly happened and I'm like,
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like,
what? Why are you dressed differently?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing because they have the white, all white, and they go to this
Mhm.
blue too. It's like,
Also, do you notice like during the translations when he's like gracias de nada and they had like the English translation for those words? Did you notice that at all? And I'm like,
yeah, I saw that.
why? Why is that there? Like gracias, like you don't. Doesn't most people at least know that little bit of Espanol?
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, you didn't need to go that far into it. Like, it's like, that's what I'm saying. They almost made this. I don't want to say this is where I feel old. So thanks, Jake. It's like,
I'm older than you.
come on. I got to let some people have some sort of thought into this movie with the amount of expositions where they just wrote the story. You always have a word for it, where they just kind of Mary suited a little bit into the story or whatever. Let me tell you exactly what's going on. They brought Sidewinder back.
Joaquin the Falcon very much is a Mary Sue. That dude could do fucking everything.
Yeah.
Oh, let me hack into this. Oh, I'm the computer. I can hack into this. I can hack into this. Ned from Spider-Man's very much like that, but he's like the guy in the chair, but he also can fly really well, but also can fight really well at the same time.
Yeah.
But then randomly gets shot down because he didn't like do the right flip move at the end.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, like that kind of stuff. You're like, all right, you guys. They almost made it so, and even some of the movie signs were like, we're going to show you what's next. We're going to get this person here. They're going to tell you exactly what happened. Like when they brought.
Yeah. There's 2 bits I want to talk about too, because like I just thought of it. I'm like, I need to mention it. One, the news. The fucking news always explained everything. They're like, oh, hero, Sam Wilson is doing this, this, and this. Oh, hero, Joaquin, he's hurt in the hospital. I'm like, the news never gives us this type of news. And also, like, what the fuck lazy exposition is this?
Yeah, exactly. They explained the whole thing. I'm like, all right, is it just modern day world? We don't think we can all have like I missed the cognitive thought where you had to think like what exactly happened. You didn't just give it to them on a silver platter like they're doing nowadays in a lot of movies. And I'm like, dude, let's like
the biggest
let people.
the biggest offense though, and this is like the most egregious part of it, and it might be small, but for me, I'm just like, my fucking god, the 2 rogue pilots, Whiskey and I think Ranger or whatever his rogue. I don't remember the other one, but like the fact that like we had to put their name right on their helmet in big blocky letters, Whiskey, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, our 2 big like fighters at the end are 2 fighter pilots, and you have to have their names right on their helmet. Like that just looks ridiculous. Oh, look, it's Whiskey. He has his name. That's how we know it's Whiskey. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
It went a little bit too far with those exposition descriptions. So I'm like, yeah, that's kind of where I kind of lowered it down to it too. It's like,
yeah,
I could have just wrote it, watched it. Like I don't know if it's AI writing that a lot of people are doing now or something. Because I'm like, hot damn.
Yeah,
Is this how it is nowadays? We need this kind of exposition to
I
watch a
just
movie.
I just go like, how do you hire like you obviously hired the wrong people for this, and how do you make that mistake? How do you make the mistake of hiring this director who I don't know if it's I don't know who's to blame for this. I don't know. But I'm just like, how does this movie get so messed up? Because there's a really good idea here. In an alternative world, this movie's great. With the
Yeah, dude,
right
this movie
director.
would be incredible with the right people.
All right. But yeah, 2+. Let's go into NBC most valuable character. I think there's two choices here, but I'm leaning towards one. I do have a set of 5, but I don't really think it's worthy of getting into. I think it's between the two, Thaddeus Ross and Sam Wilson. And I think I'm just giving it to Sam Wilson, which
Yeah.
feels lazy, but I feel like that's just he was the best character in this.
He was the only. I mean, I don't want to say the only. He was the best character in this. The only other character I'm thinking, I don't think Thaddeus Ross, because I just think that character was kind of wasted in a way.
Yeah, yeah, I like the
and a lot of
idea.
wasted. I like the idea of it. I think the character got a little too wasted, but the Black Widow girl, I'll allow that one to be all right. Is a decent character build, even though her scenes were kind of weird. But I don't blame her for that. I blame more the writing.
Yeah, it's definitely not the NBC. I would put Bucky in front of her because that scene was like one of the best scenes in the whole movie. I guess
Yeah.
Isaiah Bradley could be in there, but I also feel like his character was kind of thrown in for shits and giggles.
His character was. What was the point of his character? I don't even know.
To torture another black man? I don't know. Like it's, I hate saying
That's
it,
pretty
but
much what it was like.
it's just what it felt like, and like leave him alone, let him be happy. Give him something fun to do at least.
Because we torture. We want to show that we've been torturing them for our entire lives, and this is the best way we're going to show that, our history. Like that's what we do. Like, but then we let the other shooters just get shot and dead. Like, okay.
Like if this was gonna happen, at least like have him have be part of the fight scene in the beginning. Like if he would have been like part of that squad and was like using a super soldier, like and he was more or less a Bucky replacement, I'd been like, you know what, that's fine. He got a cool scene. They didn't even give him that. They're just like, we're gonna go train with him, and I'm like, it doesn't even make sense to train like Falcon to train with him. Why would you fight? Why would you train with a super soldier? Who was in prison for 30 years. Like to me that like doesn't make sense. You just kind of threw him in there to throw him in there, and then like he gets framed, and it's like I'm gonna save him now, and it's I don't know.
Yeah,
and of course at the end, he's like, "Haha, I made my promise." He's like, "What took you so long?" It's like Jesus fucking Christ. Like
yeah,
to be a little bit original.
Comic relief, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I would say it would be Sam Wilson. I'm gonna say that Black Widow girl. I don't even remember her name. It's this bad for the character choices.
She's not even on the list for me. I have Thaddeus Ross too because I'm like he's the only one that like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Joaquin is the third maybe, but I don't even. This character felt wasted too.
His character tried to be the comic relief that just wasn't hitting at all.
Okay, I have a new segment. It's called "Let's Do It Better."
Hell yeah, we can do this better.
So I have two versions of this movie that I think would be a lot better. And the first one is called the Hulk Edition, where it's literally just Bruce and Sam Wilson working together. And it's basically the entire movie, but written well. And what the whole idea of like Sam and Bruce working together and like kind of creating the Avengers and working on a team to stop this plot of the leaders, stop this like political angle and actually like dive into it more. I don't really have a whole lot of like, I don't know. I just feel like Bruce would have been a better like add in here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have like much of a pitch here. Just better writing. Because I actually like the premise.
Yeah, the premise is actually pretty decently good. I think what would have been better is some realism involvement, whether that been the Hulk, whether that been more Winter Soldier, and you kind of bring that dynamic in because they've always been a team. This is the first movie where they're not really a team.
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of a weird off-put for Captain America. Like you know, no teamwork on that at all. No side front. They became like best friends. And
that's a really
like, fuck that guy.
that's a really good point because every Captain America movie is a team, right? You have the first Avengers, you have the Howling Commandos, Captain America and the Howling Commandos. Then the second movie, you have Captain America, you have Black Widow, and those two kind of working together to take out Hydra. You have Sam Wilson in there. Then it's Civil War, and then of course all the Avengers films. And then in this movie, you kind of have a team.
We have a team, but it's such a sudden shift to make this. Here's the new Falcon. There you go.
Yeah, you know nothing about him except he's the Falcon.
There's no chemistry build. There wasn't any of that at all. There's just
Isaiah Bradley's here. Now he's in prison again.
Yeah, that's their team, and I think their team build was missing from Captain America, which shows Captain America's leadership. That should have been more of a forefront of a Captain America movie, and it just wasn't there. It didn't exist. They decided to take it out and replace to do a mix of the Hulk and Captain America, which again I think if they would have did Bruce Banner would have been a killer team because they have chemistry.
And you could do it legally because he needs to be in a team-up film, and plus, like, Bruce Banner's been
The
around.
leader of a team that we know. If you're going to utilize the best movie for a new Captain America, for a Captain America we already know, Sam Wilson, they should have led with a good forefront foot with that on the writing style.
So my other addition to this is the Bucky edition, where it's literally just, you know, Winter Soldier and Captain America fighting Baron Zemo, who's working with the leader, and they're kind of doing like not Hydra, but a version of like Hydra again, and they're more or less, it's the same plot. They're trying to get Thaddeus Ross to trigger so they can trigger World War III to do chaos. But Baron Zemo's more or less the front person, and the leader is, you know, at odds with Zemo, and those two are like working together, but they're at odds. And then at the end, you have Hulk, Red Hulk, and then you have, of course, Zemo versus Sam Wilson.
I like your story and theory of that way too. I like the idea of them both working together, but one of them trying to take advantage of the other.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end,
or both.
Because it's mine, or both. Yeah, both try to take advantage of one another. And because of that subtle split, that's the opportunity. Steve and Sam talked. I mean, they didn't have that whole fight scene, which would have made more sense with Isaiah Bradley, right? Like it's all about the last hit. So like getting their ass kicked, but they have that one opportunity they see between them where they can take their shot. Would have been
yeah. Or you take Hulk out of it, and then you have Winter Soldier plus Sam Wilson plus Isaiah Bradley plus like other people or Falcon fighting against Red Hulk, and it's a team effort. It's a Avengers level effort, and you show Sam Wilson's Captain America taking up that leadership role, which would roll into Avengers. The whole idea that they're trying to build the next Avengers. There's so much potential here, and it just feels wasted. It feels like they hired the wrong people for this, and they couldn't save it after many reshoots.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what happened. They hired the wrong people. I don't know how. I don't know how these people, like, I want to know how these people get in with this writing gig. Because I'm writing a book. And I'm like, I'm writing a book. You know, you can try to read it if you want. It's good advertisement right here, y'all. It's getting read my book. It's getting
Don McNuggies. I don't know what your book is about or called. Here,
and I have no idea how I would go in and write a story. It's like you were writing comics. Like, how do you get people to read your story? Because your stories have a better play than a lot of these movies. Maybe someone could help you write the final like lingo that they talk to each other with. But you get the general story and then have someone help you with the lingo. Like, how do we get into this role? Because I'm looking at these movies and I'm like, you just need to execute it. That's it.
Yeah, good idea. Just really bad dialogue. And I don't have much complaints, a little bit about the score, but I don't have much complaints about the actual effects. You know, there's some parts that's obviously CGI. The last scene kind of just sucked when it comes to CGI, at least like the background. But overall, I don't have a whole lot of complaints other than the writing. And obviously the reshoots and the editing. But like the writing itself killed this movie. So yeah, I don't get it. I'm like, there's so many elite writers out there. How did you fumble the bag this hard?
You can give someone, I mean, maybe that's what they're doing, is trying to give somebody that had writing experience a shot.
Yeah, I don't.
You know when you have a good writer. Uh-oh.
We're back and still recording. Hi. That was weird.
Go fly, Eagles fly, baby.
Yeah, you know what? Politically, I'm happy the Eagles won. Anyway,
Politically, you're happy
yeah,
the Eagles
as a
won.
fan, I want the Chiefs to win. Politically speaking, good.
Go Eagles. Yeah.
Um, yeah, we could. So I'm sorry, that was a weird connection, and we were almost done anyway.
Yeah, right at the end. And Jake's like, we're leaving.
Fuck this,
I'm out.
we're done.
I want to be a writer for Marvel. I can do it better than they can. And I was like, yeah, let's hire Jake.
You know, okay. I do
But,
want to talk about this
I
because,
sucks.
like, this one little bit that I want to add: the idea of like Marvel, because a lot of people are jumping off train, and I think a lot of people are looking for the thing that's like, oh, Marvel's dead. And I haven't seen it yet for this, but I'm expecting to see it over the weekend, which is, oh, Captain America: Brave New World. When again, I don't really care for the title, but I'm expecting people to be like, Marvel's dead. This movie sucks. Marvel's dead. And I don't feel that way. I will feel that way if the next 3 movies suck. But I'm not going to feel, or at least the next like 3 big projects, Daredevil, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four. If those 3 movies, all 3 together, are just meh or good, yeah, I'm going to feel like Marvel's dead. That being said, the last 3 projects for Marvel, we got Deadpool Wolverine. Not amazing, but solid. It's a good time. No complaints. I think 3 plus 4 minus is where I'm at. Not a great story, but overall fun. Agatha All Along, I thought it was a 4+ show. I like
Incredible.
really good. The last thing they just did, kind of snuck it in there in January. It's released multiple episodes by week. You could see it right there. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated show is fucking fantastic. It's a really good show. So like the last 3 projects for Marvel, and I guess technically What If season 3, I'm excluding. It's okay. It's all right. 3 minus at this point. I haven't watched all of it. I haven't been motivated to. It's anthology.
Anyway, it's hard with the What If series anyway, I will say, because
it's anthology.
Like, we did. Yep.
But the last 3 projects that's not What If are actually really good. Really solid. 3 plus or up. 4 minus maybe. So I'm expecting people like, oh, Marvel's dead. But I'm like, nah, this movie sucked. But I have thoughts. I have hope for Thunderbolts. The trailers look good. They look scary.
Well, even the studio
Fantastic
itself
Four.
didn't feel confident. That's what's weird about this movie, because even the studio itself was like, eh.
Throw it in February. Throw it in February. No one watches movies in February.
Yep.
Also, how full was your theater?
Yep. Oh, it was empty, dude.
I had 5 other people.
Yeah, dude, that's
Wait,
all I was.
7, sorry. 7 other people.
Yeah, it was empty. I was in the front row, not in the front row, but a couple rows back, in the luxury seat by myself. And I was like, it's weird because it's winter and it's quiet.
Winter's like the time that no one goes to see a movie. But I've seen Deadpool in February, and that movie was full. And of course, it's Deadpool, but I'm like, I remember seeing Ant-Man, and Ant-Man was also just dead. So my thinking is, yeah, they did the Ant-Man treatment. They knew it was going to be trash. They knew it wasn't going to be well received. Let's throw it in February.
Yep, and the actual good one they put in May.
I hope so. Thunderbolts looks good. I have hope. I'm jealous that you get an early screening. Dude, you're gonna have to, when the embargo is up, you might just have to do a whole review, spoiler-free review for the show.
I could try to
Dude, you could take over. You could do a solo one. You're like, ooh. It's
spoiler free. It's gonna be tough. We're not supposed to talk about it. That's the thing. You're supposed to give it a review, just without spoilers. And it's kind of like the thing they said. I was like, oh, you can try.
I know there's an embargo, and I know you have to. How do you get that, by the way? How'd you? No,
I just went Well, Utah's known for its music or film
Mhm.
festival out here, Sundance Film Festival. So they got a whole bunch of
No,
film stuff
yeah.
going on with their theaters. So, kind of just when the theater tickets at one point, they just had this little advertisement. Hey, sign up for this opportunity to. Now the problem is it's not just Thunderbolts. You gotta watch. You gotta watch
Yeah.
quite a few, but
Nice,
Thunderbolts is
nice,
one of them.
nice.
You gotta watch. You gotta watch some of these other movies you're not so emphatic about. But yeah, you sign up for it. You still
I
gotta
have
pay.
a rumor, by the way.
It's kind of weird.
Or not a rumor. I have a hypothesis.
A theory?
I'm going to say hypothesis because obviously I can't experiment on it. But theory, culturally speaking, yes. Accurately speaking, hypothesis. That's one of my gripes of our culture. You know how Thunderbolts, every time they like throw the trailer on, they have a little asterisk at the end?
Yep.
I think Thunderbolts is gonna do the what's it? Shoot, I forget the movie that did this. What is it? The one with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt, the very video game like story, Edge of Tomorrow or something.
Oh,
Edge of Tomorrow. I think they're gonna do the Edge of Tomorrow instead of Thunderbolts. I think eventually it's gonna be called Dark Avengers.
You think so?
Because the asterisk is there. I'm like, oh, they're doing something with it. That's purposeful. And Dark Avengers, think about it.
Yeah,
they're the not so good Avengers. They're going to do Dark Avengers. Plus, the film is all about dark shadows. Dark Avengers. That's my hypothesis.
Dark or Savage? Which one are you
It
going
won't
with?
be Savage. Savage, I feel like, is older. It's like the millennia before Avengers. I could be wrong.
No, I'm thinking there's something with that. They're gonna change the title.
Dark Avengers, baby. We're the Thunderbolts. No, we're the Dark Avengers. It's gonna, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing the Thunderbolts for the kind of the. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be some sort of flipperoo. But I can see the Dark Avengers or something like that. It'd be kind of cool. I can see them stretching in. It'd be sweet if they got to Savage, because those are the killer Avengers.
I don't know.
Think about that. Venom, Wolverine.
Oh,
God, that'd be so cool.
I have high hopes for Thunderbolts. I think it's gonna be good, but I think the movie that I think is gonna be fantastic. It's, I really like Fantastic Four. The trailer was excellent. I have a really good feeling about Fantastic Four. I feel like this movie has to be good. To be honest to you, I think it has to be a 4+ for this movie to really live up to the hype. But it might be there. I don't know. I have a good feeling about it.
I have a really good feeling about the Thunderbolts, but mainly
4-.
because I have a bias for Bucky Barnes,
The leader of the Dark Avengers. It's Bucky versus
I love
Falcon.
him as character. I think
Avengers versus Dark Avengers.
that
I know.
Dark Avengers aren't bad people. Jesus Christ.
In the comics, led by Norman Osborn, Iron Patriot, baby.
Yeah, there's that. There's that side of it. But,
All right.
yeah, I don't
Have
see
you watched?
that ever
Have
being
you
a
watched
thing.
Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man at all?
Not yet. I've been too busy watching the show called Severance. Have
I
you
watched one
that?
episode. I watched the pilot.
You watched one episode? You watched
Dude,
one
I have so
episode?
many shows going on.
Dude,
I
it's
thought
so
you'd
good.
be. I thought you'd
So
be
good.
proud that I at least watched one episode.
I'm happy. I am happy. You get
Yep.
started. What'd you think of that one episode first? And then you can talk about your Spider-Man, because I'm so deep.
So,
I'm deep. I'm deep in the
all
show.
right, Severance. Because I looked it up. You're like, okay, I'm gonna at least give you. I'm gonna do you the favor of looking into it and seeing if I can grasp my interest. And a lot of people are liking this show. I'm like, okay. I watched one episode. I'm intrigued. I got a little bored at the end of the pilot. A little bit at the end.
Yep. Same.
But I'm intrigued. That being said, it's a really, really heavy 6 months for me. Very, very heavy. So I'm going to say March 21st. I'm going to try to get caught up all the way to season 2 so we can talk about the finale. I have a spring break coming up,
Yes.
but I have to finish Daredevil. because Daredevil's coming out in March, and on top of the fact that Invincible,
That's
Friendly
true.
Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yep.
So give me some time. But Severance, yes, we'll do an episode. But it's a
I've heard a lot of good things about Friendly Neighborhood
so
Spider-Man.
good. It's the Spider-Man show I didn't ask for. It's not a show that I wanted. I love Spider-Man. I'm not gonna turn down Spider-Man. But then I watched it and was like, you know what? I like it. It's like a twist on the MCU version of it, but it's Norman Osborn instead of Tony Stark, that being that mentor role. And it's just like a lot of different things have changed, but you have a lot more classic Spider-Man characters. Like Scorpion is in it. I just watched an episode. Daredevil makes an appearance, and I'm like, with Charlie Cox as the voice. I believe it was Charlie Cox as the voice. It sounded like him. Fucking awesome. I'm like, okay, sweet. I love that. There's a show, and it's pretty well animated. Like the shot between Daredevil and Spider-Man, you have like the moon in the background. It looks dope. It's just, I don't know. It's really cool. You can see the little suit here. That's the suit that he wears, like in the midway through season 1. I guess that's a spoiler too. But it's also in the trailer too, so it's not that much of a spoiler.
Yeah,
Like it's a dope show. That's all I can say. I know there was a lot of like talk beforehand. They're like, "Oh, this show's woke," and then the voice actor for Spider-Man was like, "I like this show because it's not woke," and I'm like, and then after watching, I'm like, "This show's it's pretty woke, but it's not like in your face." Like there's like a scene where like one of the main characters, his brother gets into a gang, and his mother's like, "When I saw my son with the police car, and it's just, I'm like, okay, lady, you do not feel intentional at this. This feels very this feels like it was written by a white person."
yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's like the only scene where I'm like, okay, that's very
it.
like, I'm not a huge fan of like the woke culture and stuff like that, but I'm like, okay, that's a little
nothing.
forced. But for those who are like, it's not
think
woke, I'm like, it's woke in the fact that like it shows a lot of different like cultural backgrounds. It gets really into like, I wouldn't say it gets into like race, but it does, it brings up those themes. It's just not in your face about it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. Just gonna say, so recommend it. Would you rate it so far then? If I'm gonna go step into
It's at least a 4.
world?
I would say it's like a 4. I think initially it's like a 4 minus 4. I'm like, I am hyped for it. I think
So it's not Skeleton Crew where you
oh,
wanna,
we didn't even
like,
talk
give
about
it a 1?
Skeleton Crew.
Oh yeah, because it was so
It
goddamn bad.
wasn't bad. It's just for kids.
Yeah, it definitely was for kids.
My wife Sapphire got into it. She was like more into it than everybody in that room.
I did it, and I'm like,
Stop it.
can I get my hours back?
I will say, as a father of children, being able to watch Star Wars with my kids and watching it with my kids and having them enjoy it, I did enjoy the show for what it was, and I thought it was, for what it was, a really good show.
I think that's what it was meant for. So they did exactly.
Yeah,
the job.
and I would give it a
was-
3+ for that reason alone.
I was excited for Jude Law to actually be a Star Wars character.
He's a Jedi,
Like,
man.
oh, it's a kid show. God,
A
kid
Jedi.
show. I got a kid show. I got a
It's
kid
a-
show.
It's a solid kid show.
It's like going back and watching iCarly now. I'm like, this is so good. Damn
Dude,
it!
I can't.
I was like, I had to think the whole time I was watching that. I'm just watching
I
iCarly.
watched
Fine.
Drake and Josh
Fine.
Christmas back during the holiday season, and yeah, it's like a rough watch. Not only that, because like now that like I know everything that happened in behind the scenes, like all the little like sexual innuendos with these children, it's just like, oh, I feel dirty. I feel
Yeah.
dirty watching this. This isn't like, ugh. And then you have Shirley in there too. Like, Shirley from Community. All right. Well, Donald, I think we gotta call it. It was good. Captain America, Brave New World, 2+.
Two
It
plus.
was fine.
Important to watch, but not that
Watch
good
it
to rewatch.
once, remember the some bits, and yeah, that's about it. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you just
Well, thank you, Don McNuggies. This is Jake, your host,
take Jake.
signing off.